Newsstand versus Newsletter embarks on a journey of a classic wrestling year. Were the PWI readers accurate with their assessment of talent? Were the Wrestling Observer Newsletter subscribers more right than wrong? Join longtime friends Scotty and Andrew as they talk about Newsstand versus Newsletter.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to night 2 of the special podcast we're doing during. There's a show called Wrestlemania happening tonight. I don't know. I don't watch it in their garbage. But anyway, night 2 tonight. We're going to be doing some Newsstand versus Newsletter. I am your host, the future Hall of Famer, Scotty B. Bad. I'm going to bring in my co-host, Coach Andrew. That could be one of many things. That could be Coach from 1991, one of the most annoying managers I think of all time. I don't know what that is. It's glaring. It could be anything. Looks like a pro wrestler. Is that Ricky Steamboat?
No.
Let's bring Andrew up. Let's see. Hold on, Andrew. Hold on. We're gonna check something with you, big guy. Let's bring you in full screen. See if we can see it.
There we are.
Let's see. Yeah. Show us again, Andrew. Show us again. It's John Talos. John Tolos or Talos? How's it go?
Tolos.
So I got it wrong both times.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So it's night 2. How pumped are you for night 2 of WrestleMania?
Well, I'm watching it right now on my Palm Pilot because we're live. And
yeah. Well, that's 24 shit right there, brother. Well, the Palm Pilot, man, hey, listen, that comes right back to the time frame we're in because they were very popular in this era. I am not watching WrestleMania. I will not be watching WrestleMania. And I can watch it for free, for not one penny. And I'm not even going to make an effort to do that. That's how much I don't care about WrestleMania. I'm not even going to make an effort to watch it for free. It's a waste of my time. I'll record this. I'll play some Madden on my PlayStation, do a little bit of that and maybe do a little bit of searching on the internet for a lady friend.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, as a rant and rave, Andrew, before we go into the actual show, why don't you tell everybody about the contest that we have going on our channel?
We've got this huge contest. So try to slow it down with all of the subscriber requests.
Yeah,
what's happening is so many are going at the same time. It's causing a lull. There's a pause.
YouTube's getting upset about it. They're like, "Stop this! You're fucking up our whole channel."
Yeah, exactly. And once we hit 100 subscribers, we are going to give away a 3 months paid subscription to YouTube Premium. I think it's a pretty good deal. All you have to do is subscribe because you like our content. We have 2 exciting shows that go on at one time, 2 separate universes. We have right here the old standby, the OG, which is sadly coming to an end.
Really, the OG? Is it really the? I think we had a couple shows before this one that didn't really work out too well. The OG that we stuck with, maybe that could be a way to put it down.
The OG that we stuck with, certainly the one that's lasted the test of time. The fact that we're doing this now, when did we start? Was it 2020 or 2021?
I want to say if it was up to look. We did start and then we had to restart because I lost the password to the YouTube page, so we had to restart it again. But it's been a little bit. But keep going, keep talking about it.
Yeah, and here we are covering a pivotal year in professional wrestling because I liken it to the dead cat bounce. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression, but it's basically one last grasp of something that's already dying.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That little last bit of hope, that little last bit of, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, there would be another one down the line, probably 10 years later. Actually, I'd say.
Yeah, 14 was good. So we just give away the actual year we're doing. But anyway, 14 was a good year.
Yeah, 14 was a good year, but I think it started with 11 with
Punk and
all that shit.
So as Andrew has tricked us all into it, we tricked all you people thinking you're watching WrestleMania. I know you're like searching, where's WrestleMania? Here we are. Come on. 2 pretty cats.
But it is a WrestleMania special.
Yeah, it is. We have a halftime shows are WrestleMania special. You'll see it. And if you're watching live, you have to wait. If you're watching it later, it's chaptered. So you can see it. Our halftime show's chaptered. Everything's chaptered. Like each award and stuff. Anyway, we're doing Newsstand versus Newsletter of 2004, and it's funny when we talked about doing this one. I was driving today in my car, which knock on wood still works. I was thinking in my head, I remember a lot about 2004. 2004 was a kick-ass year, man. So why don't you talk about yourself, Andrew, where you were at in that situation, and then I'll tell you mine.
It was my last full year in my hometown of St. John, New Brunswick, Canada.
Now I know where I live at. Thanks, Andrew. Keep going.
Yeah. And I would say I felt like I had gone as far as I was going to go with the fact that I live in a bilingual country and I have a French last name, but I don't.
You're not bilingual at all.
I don't speak French.
Yeah.
So
I have a French last name too. I don't speak French. Same deal.
Yeah. And I just found that there was only so far you could go. Like if I was competing, like if somebody else was interviewing for the job that I was interviewing for and they spoke French and I didn't, I'm putting myself up at bat with 2 strikes.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, enough of the sadness. What else is going on in 2004 for you? Because we'll talk about a pretty big event in our lives in 2004 later on in the show.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
We had a big party for a certain show. Remember? For that year, it was a big party we had.
We had 2 big parties.
I remember the WrestleMania party pretty well.
And we had a Rumble one as well.
Oh, I remember that one. Must have been pretty drunk at that one. But anyway, keep going. Keep talking about 2004.
Oh, yeah. The first half of 2004. But as you'll see, and because spoiler alert, I've looked ahead at some of the winners.
Don't tell me.
I'll just say this. It's grim.
Okay, that's okay. Just keep going because I don't want to know anything. Keep going.
Okay. Anyway, we were really into professional wrestling.
Yeah.
But primarily not professional wrestling that was going on right then and there. We were watching tapes.
Yeah, but we were watching some stuff. I think SmackDown.
Live, though? I mean, how many
SmackDown.
SmackDowns were you watching and how many Raws were you watching?
I remember we had a gathering at your place for the year before for the Lesnar and Angle Iron Man. So we used to go to your place to watch SmackDown. Then we'd go there, watch SmackDown, then go to that bar and do karaoke. Mm-hmm. So it was common to watch SmackDown at your place, but it was the year before. It wasn't in 2004. It might have been in 2004 too. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I just found at that point in my life, because I mean, I was in my early to mid 20s.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of stuff going on, and when
we did watch a lot of tapes. I'm not saying we didn't watch a lot of tapes. Yeah, I agree with that. We definitely did.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if I had to watch professional wrestling, if that was what was going to be on the screen, I thought nothing of like, hey, I've got a tape trade going on right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to see some Memphis, which was, if you remember, Scott, highly.
Oh, well aware of fucking Memphis. Trust me. Had to tape that shit all fucking day. But anyway, so keep going because I don't want to keep them too long because our guests are getting a little anxious to hear what's going on. So.
Yeah, so I was doing that as well, but I found at the time when I was going to be watching pro wrestling, I'd much rather watch the older stuff at that point, and it had been like that for a bit, like since 97. Years. 97, I felt it peaked, and every year after that, I always felt like it wasn't as good.
So for me, 2004. It was a really that little range, man. That was a lot of fun. There was a lot of work. I worked a little call center job right down the hill from my house, and I mean, it was just I lived in a party shack. You remember my apartment I had? That thing was technically condemned, and we partied there all the time, and we had the WrestleMania party where at the time the girl I was dating worked at KFC. Remember, she brought us a bunch of chicken up, and we just got really hammered. You did an impression on me, really drunk. You did. I don't think you remember that.
I'm really good at impressions.
So you did an impression, and it was a good time. And 2004 was a lot of fun. End of the year, moved in with my girlfriend. It got more, just how it works, man. More civilized. Let's put it that way. But the funny thing about that apartment was that I had, which was definitely condemned. I mean, that place was fucked. I lived in like a closet pretty much, And what got me out of there, it wasn't the fact that like our bathroom door didn't shut. There was no privacy. It was none of that. We found a rat in the apartment. Like, okay, that's enough of that. We're done. Because that place down the remember that Chinese food place burned down, and all the rats scattered, and they all ended up in people's apartment. People down the road got them. And everything was crazy. But 2004 was a lot of fun. But let's hop right into the awards. Let's start right now with Rookie of the Year. Do you want to start with mine?
Yeah, let me give it a guess.
When you come up, I'm bringing you up full screen when you guess yours, by the way.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Was it Petey Williams?
You are correct. Now, Petey Williams was in TNA, was he not?
Yes. He was the innovator of the Canadian Destroyer.
So we have him at 1. Nakajima, I cannot pronounce his name, so I'm saying it really fast. I can't. Kendone, Chad Tolan, Austin Arias, oh my God, what's his last name again? Swaski? I didn't say that right. There's a few others, but yeah, Petey Williams. I remember Petey Williams. I remember thinking he was really kick-ass. I'm going to guess the same for you. Actually, hold on a second. Let me bring you up here because, sorry, folks, because I've never brought you up full screen during the show. But Andrew, I'm going to guess the same. Petey Williams.
It's actually his not stablemate, but promotional partner in Monty Brown. He wins Rookie of the Year from PWI with 41% of the vote.
Okay.
First runner-up is Petey Williams with 38%. So those guys really had the monster share of the votes.
Yep.
Second runner-up is Johnny Nitro. Later would go on to be John Morrison with 9%. And third runner-up is the late Matt Capitelli with 4%.
Okay. I'm going to go with Petey Williams. Oh, sorry. Honorable mentions. My bad. Go ahead.
Honorable mentions totaling 8% include Jonathan Coachman, DeBeast, D-Ray 3000, and Mike Taylor.
What the fuck was the coach doing in that list? Jesus Christ, man.
Coach Andrew.
I'll tell you something, man. When that memorial is going to be long as fuck when we get to that in 2004.
That's what I was going to say. They didn't do it in memoriam in PWI.
They probably didn't have enough pages for it.
I was looking forward to, these years for.
Well, look it up then. Find it. Just find F's 2004. Just look it up on your computer. You'll find it. And just do it. We'll do it like during the halftime. So we'll take a little break. You can go look for it. All right. Most Improved is the next award.
So we're doing this live. We can't take a break.
We're gonna take a break.
Okay, just because when finding the guys and gals who passed away, I would like to see if I have any memorabilia.
The memorabilia. Yeah, we'll take a break during it. Okay, Most Improved. I'm gonna guess for you, Batista. Oh, jeez, I gotta keep bringing you back up.
Wait,
Petey Williams.
Petey Williams.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually disagree. I'm going to say Monty Brown.
There we go. All right. So, Andrew, you are up. You're full. You're the man of the hour right now. You're full screen. Most Improved Pro Wrestler. I'm going to guess for you, Batista.
It is his stablemate in Evolution. It is Randy Orton.
Randall Orton. Okay.
Yes, Randall Keith. He wins it with 37% of the vote. First runner-up is Shelton Benjamin with 17%. Second runner-up is Batista with 14%. Third runner-up is John Bradshaw Layfield with 10%. And honorable mentions totaling 22% include Abyss, Andy Douglas, and Chase Stevens, Eugene, Chris Harris, Matt Morgan, Samoa Joe, and Michael Shane.
It's a lot of people. All right. What is my most improved pro wrestler of 2004, according to Dave Meltzer and his cult following?
Was it JBL?
It is also Mr. Randy Orton. He wins most improved. I know. I'm doing the same thing. Batista's second, Sheldon Benjamin, Samoa Joe, JBL, Austin Arias, Monty Brown, Johnny Nitro, CM Punk, Trish Stratus, Ricky Marvin, and a couple of Japanese guys. I cannot pronounce their names. So that's that. So there's no one to pick from because we all got the same award. Yeah, it's a tie. The next one, everyone's favorite, Inspirational wrestler for you. Most disgusting tactic.
Ooh, an 04.
Oh, there's a few, man. There's a couple, buddy. Trust me. It's not hard to pick from. I should say it is hard to pick from because I don't know all the people. Like there's some people that but go ahead and try to guess.
I'm just gonna go Rob Black's entire existence.
Nope, it's not that.
Okay.
It is. Bring it up for you here. Kane and Lita's pregnancy, pregnancy, miscarriage, wedding angle. Let me read it off exactly how they say it.
And don't forget the Gene Snitsky involvement.
Kane, Lita, pregnancy, wedding, miscarriage. That's number 1. Number 2 is the WWE Raw Diva Search. Number 3 is WWE exploiting 9/11 with Hassan angle, which is that the one where they got that guy, like they got rid of him? Or no, that was the next year. That was the guy that they got rid of because of the whole London thing, wasn't it? Or is this the same cat?
Same guy.
That's number 3? Wow. They put that below the Diva Search? That's nuts. JBL Goose.
Don't mess with their serious wrestling, Scott. These are Wrestling Observer newsletter voters. And the most disgusting thing you can be in professional wrestling is
a diva.
Silly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, they've been teased their whole life, so it's understandable. JBL goose stepping with WWE title. Yeah, that's bad. Yep. Cena and Carlito angle playing off Brody's stabbing. Triple H's push all year. The killing of Paul Bearer. ROH's line about Feinstein not being in the league or not being in the company anymore. Yeah, that's true. Fucking creep. TNA using Lex Luger and Vincent Kenny McMahon promo in Iraq. Is that all of them? Is that 10? Hold on a second. I got any more? No, that's that. Okay, so we're good there. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. That Kane stuff's bad, but that Hassan stuff's way worse than that Kane stuff. Way worse than Kane and Lita by about a mile. But anyway, Inspirational Wrestler 2004. Oh my God. Kurt Angle?
Pull me full screen, man.
I'll bring it up, buddy. What do you? Oh, Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, Eddie. That makes sense.
Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero with the Inspirational Wrestler of the Year with a total of, what's it say there, 30%? Yep, 30% of the vote goes to Eddie Guerrero. First runner up.
Sense, yeah.
First runner up is Chris Benoit with 22%.
That's going to change in a couple years.
Inspired. He inspired a few people. Second runner up is Eugene with 20%. And third runner up is William Riedel with 6% of the vote. Honorable mentions totaling 22%.
Lou Albano?
Shelton Benjamin, John Cena, The Hurricane, Rey Mysterio Jr., Victoria, and David Young. And I had an idea when I was just skimming through this magazine earlier. We take a look at the ratings and see how many wrestlers are still active
or still alive. That's a better question. Yeah. Maybe, yeah. We'll do that later on. All right, so that's that one. So next one is most popular wrestler for you, most underrated wrestler for me. Most popular for you, 2004? I can't. No, Cena's not there yet. He's not at that level. It's getting there. Eddie? Oh, yes. Put a full screen here. Hold on. Let's give it a second to kick in.
It was.
So that early, listen, I'm not against that, but I'm surprised it was that early on because he just turned face about 6 months before.
Yeah, well, he was massive. 31%.
Oh, no, listen. Can I say something about Cena real quick?
Sure.
That Mania match where he beat Big Show, that's what put him, got him over that hump. That's okay, you're big now. It sounds weird to say that because, it's Big Show, but open the show and,
Second most important match of the card.
Yeah. No, he, anyway, keep going.
So John Cena wins most popular wrestler of the year with 31% of the vote. Second runner-up is Chris Benoit with 22% of the vote.
Oh, it's so weird to say that, man. It's so fucking weird to say that. It's cringy.
The thing is, Scott, in 2004, he was my guy.
Oh, it was mine too. Well, we'll get into that when we talk about Mania. But I'm just saying, man, like it's still cringy.
Like the last time my guy was Brett.
Yeah.
And it went different for each of those gentlemen, each of those Canadian gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna support the Canadian guys. Eddie Guerrero is second runner-up with 19%. Third runner-up is Eugene with 7%. And honorable mentions totaling 21% include Chris Jericho, Ron Killings, Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio Jr., AJ Styles, The Undertaker, and Rob Van Dam.
Surprised Van Dam was so low. Thought he'd be a bit higher. People like him, man. I don't like him that much, but I think he'd be higher than that.
That's 4. I mean, he had already suffered the Triple H job.
True. So for me, it's most underrated pro wrestler of the year 2004.
It's underrated. Was it Regal? Paul London, yeah.
Paul London, yeah. Paul London wins. I'm leaving up there while I read my little list off. We have Paul London winning it with 1,622 votes. Chris Jericho's number 2. Rob Van Dam, Christian, Matt Hardy, Eddie Guerrero, Ron Mysterio, Doug Basham, and Christopher Daniels. And then a whole bunch of other people, which we won't get into that. Yeah, London was pretty good back then. He was underrated.
Yeah.
But all right, so we're up to one more before we hit the halftime show. But the halftime show is going to be pretty long, so we're skimming through. It's okay. The next award, I'm not sure what it is. Let me go double check. Actually, it's I think it's woman. I didn't put up my. Give me one quick second here. I bring up my format because there we go. The format. I'm using Microsoft Word, and I'll tell you, man, it's a lot better than using fucking Google Docs. We are gonna go with Woman of the Year, and actually we have two to go. Woman of the Year is this one for you. Worst promotion for me, and then match, and then Feud of the Year, which I didn't put up a fucking thing. So for Woman of the Year for you, I'm first. My bad. I apologize. What's the worst promotion?
Is it TNA?
No.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know. I was really blown away by that one. New Japan. That's why I put it in. New Japan was the worst promotion. New Japan is number 1. Hustle's 2. TNA's 3. WWE's 4. Combat Zone's 5. All Japan, World Japan, AAA 0-1, and All Japan Women. New Japan wasn't. They must have. You know what probably happened? Somebody from that office stopped giving them info and like, oh, you know what? We'll fucking ruin you guys. We'll ruin you guys.
No, here's what New Japan was doing in 2004. They were having their professional wrestlers have shoot matches.
Oh, okay. Bob Sapp and them guys.
They were getting obliterated, and then their credibility would naturally go. And so you'd have these shooters holding the titles, but they don't. I mean, you'd have like guys like Ogawa who kind of got it, but there was a lot of them who had the personality of an MMA wrestler or MMA fighter, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I remember when that was happening. I remember Bob Sapp was the big thing back then.
Yeah.
They were all in love with Bob Sapp. For Woman of the Year for you, give me a second here. I'm just gonna put something up here. There we go. Woman of the Year for Mr. Coach Andrew here. I'm gonna go with little Trish Stratus.
Victoria.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to women's division back then, to be honest.
Honestly, that's when they were starting to kick ass. Like everyone talks about the Divas Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
It started when Finlay started training.
Yeah, but they had some bad ones too, man. They had a real bad match, some bad matches in 03. That real bad night, that Raw match where.
Well, if Lita was involved, then it was probably going to be blown spots and stuff like that. I'm sorry, Hall of Famer Lita, but I know which one you're talking about. But that was before Finlay got there.
That's fine. We'll keep going. That's okay.
That kind of like triggered it. I think like even Vince was saying like these gals are going to get TV time. They're going to have to learn to work.
Yeah. And... I remember that happened. I remember we all had an apartment together, And I remember, I think you were watching in your room. I was watching in the living room. And I remember us talking about it, and laughing, because it was that Miss Bulldog, man. Fuck,
Yeah.
it's 20 years later. We're still talking about it. So what does that tell you? Well, go ahead with your runner-ups and your all that jazz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Victoria wins it with 33% of the vote. First runner-up is Trish Stratus with 26%. Second runner-up is Stacy Keebler with 11%. And third runner-up is Molly Holly with 8% of the vote. And honorable mentions totaling 22% include Tracy Brooks, Dawn Marie, Jazz, Gail Kim, Alexis Lurie, Nydia, Trinity, and Tori Wilson.
Okay. All right. So the last one before the halftime is Feud of the Year. So for you, I'm going to pick Feud of the Year. We're bringing up full. I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Mr. Benoit.
Almost. It's actually just Triple H versus Chris Benoit.
Okay.
They win it with 43% of the vote. First runner-up is Mick Foley versus Randy Orton with 21% of the vote. Second runner-up is Christian versus Trish Stratus versus Chris Jericho with 11% of the vote. And third runner-up is Matt Hardy versus Kane with 5% of the vote.
But yeah, that ruined Matt Hardy's fucking life right there.
Yep. And
the honorable mentions, there's a lot of them. There's definitely every fucking feud all year, so I'll sit back and relax.
Okay, so
this one starts.
Let me clear my throat.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap. You just let me know when it's over.
Okay, so honorable mentions totaled 20% of the vote include Booker T versus John Cena, John Cena versus Rene Dupree, Eugene versus Triple H, Eddie Guerrero versus John Bradshaw Layfield, Triple H versus Randy Orton, Molly Holly versus Victoria, Jeff Jarrett versus AJ Styles, John Bradshaw Layfield versus The Undertaker, CM Punk versus Ricky Steamboat, and Raven versus Sabu.
Okay. I know a guy in Moncton who knew Rene Dupree.
Oh, see.
So he was an asshole. I don't know. I never met the guy. I'll tell you right now, by that people saying that, because I deal with a lot of people in my other thing that I do. And they talk like, oh, that guy said, listen, if you're cool to me, I'm cool to you. I don't listen to what people say with somebody. If you're cool to me, I don't give a shit. People say what they want about you. All right. So what is my feud of the year?
My God. I'm going to go with Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit.
You are correct, sir. That is the feud of the year. I'm going to go ahead and read off. I should have cut the picture up. I didn't. That wins it with 1,642 votes. Randy Orton, Mick Foley second. Samoa Joe and CM Punk. Samoa Joe and Homicide. Chris Jericho versus Christian and Trish Stratus. AMW versus Triple X. Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero. Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell, which is in wrestling. CM Punk versus Ricky Steamboat. Vanderlei Silva versus Quentin Jackson. I'll go with yours because you know what? That wasn't really a feud with Michaels, Triple H, and Benoit. It was only a one match.
Well, I mean,
they had the rematch. They had the rematch next pay per view.
Yeah, but also like if you just included like a three-way feud, Benoit and Michaels never really had any problems. It was Triple H Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Benoit.
Yeah. So I'll go with that. I'll take it. Are you marking this stuff down, by the way?
Well,
are you marking our title?
This is the first one since
Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
That was even applicable because we don't have the same awards for a lot of them. So you're going with PWI for that one?
Yeah.
And I'm going to agree.
So I'm going to jump into that. It's the halftime show where we go over 2004. Then we're going to jump into our stuff. So I'm going to jump right into it. The NFL. The NFL draft was held on April 24th in New York City's theater at Madison Square Garden. The number one pick selected by the San Diego Chargers. Andrew, do you remember who that is? I have a picture of that when you're ready.
Was it LaDainian Tomlinson?
It was Eli Manning for about 13 minutes. And then Eli went and got traded to the Giants. Right. And then it was It's one of the most interesting drafts ever. Okay, so who's the best team in the NFL in 2004?
Is it the Patriots?
It is not.
Oh, the Steelers.
It is the Pittsburgh Steelers at 15-1, and that was Roethlisberger's first year. He was a rookie, went 15-1.
Nice.
Worst team in the NFL.
Was it the Jets? Oh.
49ers were 2-14. And the next year they drafted Alex Smith, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why did you draft Aaron Rodgers?" And the Super Bowl. Do you want to guess what that is? Or do you want me to just tell you?
Trying to remember what was that year. Now, are we doing the Super Bowl that happened in 2004 or the one that happened from the 2004 season?
2004 season, so technically 2005.
Okay. Gonna say Steelers.
Patriots and Eagles, 24-21. Yeah. That's when Don McNabb, they had to rush the line. He just walked the line nice and slow. Like, you might want to speed it up here, bud. Like, you only have like a minute left. All right, I'm going to NBA next. So the best NBA team is... Oh, I just gave it to you, so never mind.
I would have guessed the Spurs anyway, just to let you know.
It was the Minnesota Timberwolves with a record. Listen to this one. Oh, and I'm going to go back. 58-24. So, and also for the NFL, I want to go over the awards. Most valuable player, Peyton Manning. Coach Diamari is starting hard for about San Diego Chargers. You know what's weird about that one? He got fired after the playoffs. They went 14-2 and they fired him because they busted the playoffs. Offensive player of the year, Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts. Defensive player of the year, Ed Reed, Baltimore. Offensive rookie of the year, Ben Roethlisberger. Defensive rookie of the year, Jonathan Velma from the Jets. Comeback player of the year, Drew Brees for the Chargers. He's sold the Chargers. Walter Payton Man of the Year, Warwick Dunn, and Super Bowl MVP, Deion Branch, wide receiver. And as I already said, Minnesota Timberwolves went 58-24. The worst team in the NBA is...
Was it Chicago?
It was Orlando. Chicago was close. They were second worst. Okay. Yeah, Orlando had 21 wins and 61 losses. It's like, how the fuck do you even get through that? And in the finals, who was in the finals?
I'm going to say Spurs and Cavaliers.
Detroit and Los Angeles. Detroit won 4-1. Yeah. All right. So baseball. Best team in Major League Baseball is...
Is it the New York Yankees?
It's your St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh.
Yeah, they went. Let's go take a look at their record real quick. They went 105-57. The worst record in the Major League Baseball is... It's not Pittsburgh. I'll just give you that. I'll give you a hint.
Is it Colorado?
Arizona, 51-111. So they won 51 games, 111 losses. In the World Series, who was in the World Series and won that year?
Was it the Boston Red Sox?
You're damn right. And it was the greatest comeback ever in the LCS. Down 3-9. I watched every game. They fucking went on to like 2, 3 in the morning. I remember Candace yelled at me one night because I'm screaming. So I'm trying to fucking sleep. I'm like, I'm sorry. So why do they keep going so late? I'm like, I don't know. So that was that. NHL, best NHL team, 2004.
Was it Detroit?
You are correct. It was Detroit with a record that I think, Boston. I know you like Boston, but they're going to blow a bunch of records out this year. 48-21-11. The worst team in the NHL is...
Was it Pittsburgh?
It was definitely Pittsburgh. They were 23-47-8. And the Stanley Cup Finals, who was in it and who won?
I believe it was Tampa and Calgary. Tampa won.
Tampa, yeah, 4 games to 3. I remember that very well. I was not happy. All right, real quick, music, TV, movies. So I can get rid of sports here. Let me get that thing out of there. Now we're going to jump into TV. So I'll just tell you the top TV shows. Number 5, CSI Miami. Number 4, Desperate Housewives. Number 3, American Idol Wednesday. Number 2, American Idol Tuesday. For fuck's sakes, fuck my life. That's all garbage bullshit. And number 1 is, I'm just going to pop it up as I want to get into our halftime show.
Oh, you did yes.
I know, I just threw it up. CSI. Just we'll burn through them. We want to get into the halftime show.
We're in it.
I know we want to get into our part, our list.
This
Top albums. Live, Like We're Dying Young. Tim McGraw. Here for the Party. What's that? Live Like You're Dying. Sorry, I just read it quick.
Yeah.
Here for the Party. Gretchen Wills. I don't know who the fuck that is. When the Sun Comes Down. Kenny Chesney. That little.
It's all country.
It gets better for you. Encore Eminem. Feels Like Home. Nora Jones. And Confessions by Usher.
You know.
Go ahead.
If I can just interject here, as a country and Western music fan. I felt the same way around this time frame about country that I felt about pro wrestling in the 80s and 90s, because WWF was never my favorite promotion. I always preferred other promotions, and people would always think that, oh, you like Hulk Hogan, you're a WWF fan.
Yeah.
And when they hear you like country and Western music, oh, you like Tim McGraw, you must like Kenny Chesney. Like, no, I have good taste. There's a difference.
That's soccer mom fucking country right there.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we're gonna go on the top concert tours of 2004. Bette Midler, which fuck that. Metallica, fuck that also. Madonna, I'm not gonna say fuck that to Madonna. I like Madonna, she's good.
I bet she puts on a good show.
Yeah, Celine Dion, no. And number 1 would have been fucking A1, man, Prince.
Oh yeah,
Prince would have been kick-ass to see live. Top grossing movies. The Passion of Christ at number 5. The Incredibles at number 4. Spider-Man 2 at number 3. Harry Potter at 2, and Shrek 2 at 1. Top selling video games. Madden 2005. Halo 2. FIFA 2005. Pokemon, your favorite shit now. And number 1, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I remember that game. Played the shit out of that game. That game's a lot of fun. Like when people get mad and say, it's too violent. Don't play it then. It's rated M for a reason. And top DVD rentals and sales. Number 5, Spider-Man 2. Number 4, The Matrix, The Ultimate Experience. Ultimate Matrix Collection, I apologize. Star Wars Trilogy, bonus material. Hellboy, Director's Cut. And number 1, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. And that is all that. So we're going to get out of that and jump into our part of the halftime show. And Andrew, tell them what we're doing for today for our top 100 list.
Well,
and by the way, there's an add-on to it too. You know that, right?
No, what's the add-on?
The our least favorite WrestleMania match and worst WrestleMania.
Oh, right. Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Tell them what we're gonna do first. Then we'll
if you're a fan of Newsstand versus Newsletter, you've noticed in a great deal of our halftime shows, we do top 100 lists, and we've done our top 100 SummerSlam matches, our top 100 Starrcade matches, and we feel it's only fitting on WrestleMania weekend, night 2, to reveal our top 100 WrestleMania matches of all time.
All right, so I'm gonna let you start. Now, do you want to go with our least favorite Mania? Do you want to do that part at the end? Least favorite Mania match? Okay. Yeah. All right, so you start now.
Actually, I think we should do it before we reveal our number ones.
That's fair enough. Yep. Okay, so you start at 99 to 90, and at 90 just talk, or sorry, 100 to 90, and then at 90 you talk about the match.
Sure. My number 100 is Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine versus the Hart Foundation from WrestleMania 5. Number 99 is Bret Hart versus Yokozuna from WrestleMania 9. Number 98.
Almost in.
Number 98 is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff versus the Magnificent One, Don Morocco. Number 97, Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus the Ultimate Warrior. Number 96, the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers versus the Dream Team from Mania 3. Sorry if I haven't been saying which Mania these.
That's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. You can do it as you want, but you don't have to.
Number 95, Wendy Richter versus Leilani Kai. Number 94, Randy Savage versus Crush. I'm only going to say what Mania it's from if there was multiple Mania matches.
Yeah, that's fine.
Number 93, the Gimmick Battle Royal. Number 92, Earthquake versus Hercules. Number 91, Hercules versus Haku. And my number 90 is Junkyard Dog versus King Harley Race from WrestleMania 3. And that was pure spectacle. There's a lot of Mania 3 on my top 100 list. It's not a coincidence.
Okay. So for me, number 100, Greg Valentine versus Ricky Steamboat. Yokozuna versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 9. Number 98.
99.
Yeah, 99. Bret versus Yoko, WrestleMania 10. Number 97, Triple H versus Owen Hart. Number 96, Bruce Buchanan versus Ted DiBiase. 95, Luger versus Perfect. 94, Tatanka versus Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Number 93, Kane versus Raven and Big Show from 17. I just keep saying it. Number 92, Taker versus Diesel. 91, Gimmick Battle Royal. Do you have that 91 also?
I had it 93.
Okay. And number 90, Owen Hart and the British Bulldog versus Mankind and Vader. It was kind of there.
Yeah,
you know,
it was very there.
Yeah.
My number 89 is Bret Hart versus Yokozuna from Mania 10. Number 88, The Rockers versus the Orient Express. Number 87, Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka. Number 86, Coco Beware versus Rick Martel. Number 85, Honky Tonk Man versus Brutus Beefcake. Number 84, Undertaker versus Jake Roberts. Number 83, Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. Number 82, Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter. Number 81, The Colossal Connection versus Demolition. And my number 80 is Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude. And
yeah, you put that pretty low. I'm surprised. I thought you put it higher.
I really like their SummerSlam. Really, they have 3 pay-per-view matches. I only like the middle one. The other 2 are average at best. I don't care for this match. The thing about Warrior Rude at Mania 5, as a young 8-year-old child, because that's how old I was when Mania 5 was going on, I was a Demolition guy. And I remember that night on ASN, because my grandparents would listen to ASN for their nightly news.
Yeah.
And at the end of the news, the guy said, oh, and there were 3 title changes there were 2 title changes at WrestleMania, and my heart sunk because I thought for sure Hogan was beating Savage.
Yeah.
I didn't think Warrior was going to lose to Rude. So I thought, oh no, the Powers of Pain are the new tag champs. And they said Rick Rude is the new Intercontinental Champion, and Hulk Hogan has regained the world title. And I was like, oh yay, Demolition retained the titles.
Fun guy.
Yep.
All right. 90. No, already 90. 89, Heartbreak Kid versus Tito Santana from WrestleMania 8. Steve Austin versus The Rock from Mania 15. Piper versus Goldust. Hogan versus Bundy. Hillbilly Jim and the Little People, because I don't call them the other name. It's not politically correct. Versus King Kong Mike and his Little People. 84, The Rock.
There's little Beaver and Haiti Kid with Hillbilly and Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo.
Okay, well, I don't give them their names. 84.
I think Little Tokyo is still with us, and Haiti Kid is as well.
84, The Rock versus Ken Shamrock. 83, Orient Express versus The Rockers. 82, Chicago Street Fight from WrestleMania 15. 13. I apologize. 81, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie versus the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. And number 80, Nasty Boys versus Tough Nation. Not a bad little match, nothing special, but it's it's okay.
My number 79 is John Cena versus The Big Show. 78, Kurt Hennig versus the Blue Blazer. 77, Tito Santana versus Barbarian. Number 76, Lex Luger versus Kurt Hennig. Number 75, King Kong Bundy versus Hulk Hogan. Number 74, Ted DiBiase versus Jake Roberts. 73, Greg Valentine versus Junkyard Dog. 72, Matt Bourne versus Ricky Steamboat. 71, Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel. And my number 70 from WrestleMania 7 is Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig versus Big Boss Man. And I'm not a huge fan of this match. And I always point to it when people talk about Perfect being the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. And I always say, well, his look at his pay-per-view record as champion. He either lost the title or he was having matches where he lose by countout or stuff.
Yeah.
It was lame.
All right. So where am I at now? Where are we at? Give me a second here. 79. Sean versus Brett from Mania 12. I'm not like, listen, I know we go to each one, but I want to talk about this one why I put it at 79. It's an hour long, man. It's too fucking long. I'd rather watch a bad short match than that match for a full hour.
Yeah.
That's my thing. That's why I put it so low. And when I was doing my preference, I thought, shit, this is going to be really fucking low. But I thought, well, it has to be low because I'm not a fan of it. Go ahead.
So, I'll talk about it when I get to it.
78, Bossman versus Perfect, so I'm close. 77, Junkyard Dog versus Greg Valentine. 76, Evolution versus the Rock and Sock Connection. 75, Ricky Steamboat versus Hercules. 74, Doink versus Crush. 73, Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov versus US Express. 72, the exact same as you, Ricky Steamboat versus Matt Bourne. 71, the 20-man Battle Royal WrestleMania 2. And number 70, Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels versus Diesel at WrestleMania 11. It's okay.
Yeah. It felt like it could have been a match on Monday Night Raw. Like during that whole time frame, I think it's because, and we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Go to your 69.
My 69 is Big John Studd versus Andre the Giant.
That is fucking generous, man. Keep going.
I was a big fan as a kid of the big guys. 68, Greg Valentine versus Randy Savage. 67, Shawn Michaels versus Diesel. 66, Dino Bravo versus Don Morocco. 65, Don Morocco versus Ted DiBiase. 64, Tito Santana versus Shawn Michaels. 63, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. So in the same realm as you, I just have it above a few of these other matches just for the degree of difficulty of going an hour. But I don't like it. I wouldn't rewatch it. I hate when people call it a good match. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's not a good match.
Get some taste. 62, Brutus Beefcake versus Kurt Hennig. So I have that one above the Iron Man match as far as my opinion of that. I'd rather watch Perfect and Beefcake from Mania 6 than that hour-long atrocious match. 61, Ted DiBiase versus Virgil. And my number 60 from Mania 3, the Honky Tonk Man versus Jake the Snake Roberts.
That's a fun little match.
It is.
Good. Yeah. My 69, CM Punk versus Chris Jericho.
If I can interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
The beauty of Honky Tonk versus Jake is it broke up the monotony of the matches involving wrestlers who didn't really have an angle going in. They were just a match.
Get an angle match in there. Yeah, no, it makes sense. That was a good little match. It was fun. Jimmy Hart kicked ass in that match.
Yeah.
Number 69, CM Punk versus Chris Jericho. 68, the Battle Royal for WrestleMania 4. 67, John Cena versus The Big Show. 66, Virgil versus Ted DiBiase. 65, Money in the Bank from WrestleMania 24 that CM Punk wins. 64, Beefcake versus Perfect, so I'm close to you on that one too. 63, Chris Jericho versus William Regal. 62, the Dream Team versus the Rougeaus. 61, Headstrikers versus the Steiners. And 60 might surprise you. LT and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't horrible. Like, LT pulled it out. He probably had something in the system that made him do it, but I mean, he still pulled it out.
Yeah.
So I'll give him credit for that one. Okay, you're 59 to 50.
My 59 is Demolition versus Powers of Pain and Mr. Fuji. 58 is Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. 57, Undertaker versus Batista. 56, New Age Outlaws versus Mankind and Terry Funk. 55, Randy Savage and Sherry Martel versus Sapphire and Dusty Rhodes. Purely for Jesse and Gorilla on commentary.
It's entertaining too. Yeah.
It was an entertaining match, but that was their finest moment. That was their Rumble 92 because everybody talks about that for Gorilla and Bobby. I think Jesse going all in on Sapphire and Dusty is classic television. 54, Randy Savage versus Ted DiBiase. 53, Hart Foundation versus the Nasty Boys. 52, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels from Mania 25. 51, Undertaker versus CM Punk. And my number 50, the main event of WrestleMania 15, Steve Austin versus The Rock, and it's only there because it's the only match on the show worth a damn.
Yeah, that's a bad fucking show, man. Okay, my number 59, the Funks versus JYD and Tito Santana. 58, Triple H versus The Rock versus Big Foley versus Big Show. 57, the Honky Tonk Man versus Jake Roberts. 56, Matt Hardy versus Rey Mysterio Jr. Sorry, Ron Mysterio. 56, K-Name Connection versus Don Morocco and Bob Orton. 54, Razor Ramon versus Jeff Jarrett. 53, Undertaker versus Ric Flair. 52, Twin Towers versus the Rockers. 51, that's a little high, but Shane McMahon versus Mr. McMahon. And number 50, Undertaker and Batista. And I know it sounds crazy. That's actually a really good match. That is
it's my 57.
Yeah, it's really good, man. Really good match. For them guys. I'm not saying but for them guys, it's a really good match. Okay, go ahead with your 40s.
My 49.
Yeah, go ahead.
My 49 is Billy Jack Haynes versus Hercules Hernandez.
Billy Jerk Haynes, please. Say it right. Thank you.
My 48, Savio Vega versus Steve Austin. 47, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal from Mania 30. Number 46, Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. 45, Shawn Michaels versus Steve Austin. 44, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant from Mania 3.
Yeah, it didn't even make my list.
It's there for
the
fact that it was historical. You know, it was just a big deal. Hogan and Andre, it felt like this was the biggest big guy just Hogan's run was all about them feeding him monsters.
Yeah,
which is funny because he's a big guy himself. So you had to they had to find big humans, and God bless Vince. Man, he did. 43, Strike Force versus the Brainbusters. 42, U.S. Express versus Nikolai Volkov and Iron Sheik. 41, Greg Valentine versus Ricky Steamboat. And my number 40 from WrestleMania 28, Undertaker versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
None of the matches made my list. I can't stand their matches. 49, Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. 48, Randy Savage versus Ted DiBiase. 47, the main event of WrestleMania 1, Hulk Hogan, Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. 46, the Brainbusters versus the Strike Force. The Strike Force. 45, Edge and Christian versus Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys from WrestleMania 16. What's that?
From 16.
Yeah, as I said.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Number 44, Money in the Bank ladder match. Mania 23 that Mr. Kennedy wins. Number 43, Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels. 42, Taka Michinoka versus Agaba. What was his name again? The guy from 14?
Mr. Aguila.
Aguila, sorry. Number 41, Demolition versus Strike Force. And number 40, the first ever WrestleMania match, Tito Santana versus the Executioner.
Oh, wow.
Because, well, man, that crowd's hot as a motherfucker. They're freaking out for body slams. It's a good match. It's a good little match. All right. Keep her going there, big man.
My 39 is Daniel Bryan versus Batista versus Randy Orton, main event from Mania 30. My number 38 is Evolution versus The Rock and Sock Connection. Number 37, the very first Money in the Bank. Number 36, Bill Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. Purely for the crowd. I had a fun time watching that match.
That crowd was not happy.
Number 35, also from the same show, Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. Number 34, Undertaker versus Triple H from Mania 27. Number 33, Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, there you go. Pretty higher than mine. Right on.
32, Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan. Number 31, Edge versus Mick Foley. And my number 30 is the Steiner Brothers versus the Head Shrinkers from WrestleMania 9. And I really think it was the best match on the show.
Yeah. Number 39 for me, Danny Davis and the Hart Foundation versus the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana. Number 38, Mr. Perfect versus the Blue Blazer. 37, Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Number 36, Rock defeats versus Steve Austin, WrestleMania 19. Number 35, Team Angle versus Chris Benoit and Rhino versus Los Guerreros. 34, Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton. 33, Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero. 32, Randy Savage versus Ric Flair. 31. I'm going to go back to 31 in a second. So I'll be quick about it. But 31 is Hogan versus Mr. McMahon. And 30 was Cesaro win the Battle Royal. Two things real quick. Battle Royal was awesome when Cesaro won that. That was really kick-ass. And secondly, that Vince McMahon match and the Hogan match, do you know what the one thing that does it for me? I watched it at a bar with a lot of people.
Was it when Vince is like PTS?
Comes up, yeah, and the place went nuts, and I loved it. It was like, it wasn't a great match, but when he comes up with the pipe, is it the blood and the smile? I was just like, and the place went absolutely bonkers. I like, this is what it's all about right here. Like, it's not just with them; it's about being in a crowd of people watching them lose their minds. So that's why that's. What's that? They make movies.
They make movies, and every once in a while, Blind Squirrel can even find a nut.
Yeah, 29.
My number 29 is Demolition versus Strike Force. 28 is the Funks versus Tito Santana and Junkyard Dog. Number 27, Ric Flair versus The Undertaker. Number 26, The Rockers versus Haku and Barbarian. Number 25, Hart Foundation and Danny Davis versus the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana. My number 24 is The Rockers versus Twin Towers. 23 is Undertaker versus Triple H from Mania 17. Number 22, Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon.
Yep.
Number 21, Roddy Piper versus Goldust. And my number 20 is TLC 2 from Mania 17.
Now, nowadays, I don't know if it really holds up, but when it happened, that was fucking insanity. Like, that was absolutely nuts. Now, we see it every pay-per-view, basically. Fuck, we see it on Dynamite every Wednesday, pretty much. But back then, man, when that shit was going on, I remember watching that being like, what in the fuck are we seeing? This is absolutely craziness. So I definitely, it's a good list for it. All right, my 29, Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. Seth Rollins versus...
Which one?
The one... Oh, God, what year was it? Was it 22, I think? I think it was 22. I can't remember the exact one. Number 28, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Seth Rollins cashes in. Number 27, Hogan versus Savage. 26, Rock versus Hogan. 25, Cena versus Michaels. 24, Dream Team versus Bulldogs. 23, might be surprised with this one. And I know we used to talk about the 20s, but Undertaker versus AJ Styles.
Oh, wow.
Well, hey, man, pretty fucking fun little match. You got to admit that. There's a lot of fun involved in that match. 21, The Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. And 20, Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho versus Kurt Angle. Because, I mean, we don't say much more than that. Just leave it at that. Kick-ass match, 2 out of 3 falls. It's good.
I'll tell you, Scott, that's an underrated bad Mania.
What one's that?
16. Mania 2000.
Yeah, it is a bad Mania. But there's like, the main event's not bad, and that's a good match. But the rest of it's garbage.
There's something about the vibe of it. I can't get behind. It didn't feel like a Mania to me. It felt like a Vengeance.
Yeah, you didn't watch WrestleMania all day, did you? Because it felt like a Mania to me. Because I watched WrestleMania all fucking day and taped the whole goddamn thing. Remember I taped that whole thing?
Yeah. Did you ever watch it again?
No, I never watched it again. I don't know why the fuck I think I taped it for you. It was fucking horrible. Oh my God. Never again. All right, 19 to 10.
My number 19 is Daniel Bryan versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Number 18 is Undertaker versus Diesel. Number 17, Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. Number 16, Adrian Adonis versus Roddy Piper. Number 15, LOD and Ahmed Johnson versus the Nation of Domination. Yeah. Number 14, Chris Benoit versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Shawn Michaels. My number 13 is Steve Austin versus The Rock from Mania 17. Number 12, Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper versus Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. Number 11, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. And my number 10 is Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon from Mania 10 in the first and best, well, no, I should say first, the first pay-per-view ladder match, and in my opinion, the best.
The funny thing with that one is that doesn't age well either. It's a good match. I love it. No, I'm not anyway. That's fine. Number 19, the same as yours, Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. Yeah. Number 18, the first Money in the Bank that Edge wins. Number 17, Razor and HBK. So I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying, like, it's just not. It's I don't know. It's still a good match. I'm not taking away
I didn't have it at 1. It was 10.
16. Roddy Piper versus Adrian Adonis. Did you have that at 16?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. We had 2 at the same. Yeah. Number 15, Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior. Number 16, 14. Fuck, I'm all over the place here. 14, Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. Number 13, Edge and Christian versus Dudley's versus Hardys from Mania 17. Number 12, Benoit versus Angle. And number 11, AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And number 10, Steve Austin versus The Rock, WrestleMania 17. Great match until the end, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing turning this guy heel right now?
In Texas!
Yeah.
Like, that's the ultimate Vince's. No, I tell you what you want. You don't tell me what you want.
Yeah. It was a bit of a shit show. But anyway, number 9 to 1 for you. And then before 1, do your worst Mania and worst Mania match.
Yeah. My number 9 is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns with the eventual inclusion of Seth Rollins. Number 8, Randy Savage versus Ric Flair. Number 7, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. Number 6, the British Bulldogs versus the Dream Team. Number 5, Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage. Number 4, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. Number 3, Roddy Piper versus Bret the Hitman Hart. My number 2 is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus the Macho Man Randy Savage.
And what is your worst WrestleMania and worst WrestleMania match of all time?
The worst Mania for me is 11.
Okay. What's the worst? Go ahead. Sorry, you explain it. Go ahead.
I just find it's very in your house. It's like WrestleMania in your house to me. It didn't feel like a big deal. It was partly because it was in Hartford. Yeah. And also the product was never staler.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad then.
That
Bret, and I love Bret. I don't love Bret. I like Bret. I just don't like Bret's kind of an idiot, but I like him as a wrestler. Him and Backlund with that killer match. We had Piper. That was so fucking cheesy, man. That was awful. It's awful. Anyway, what's the worst?
It's not my number 1.
I wouldn't think so. What's your worst match ever at Mania?
I think it's there's 2 that pop into my mind. I'm gonna give it to Taker and Gonzalez, but honorable mention to Taker and Sid for being in that main event spot and being really, really bad.
All right, your number 1, I'm going to guess it's Bret Hart versus Steve Williams.
No, it is not. It is Uncle Elmer versus adorable Adrian Adonis.
I knew it. I knew it. So obviously
it is actually Stone Cold Steve Austin, the ringmaster, against Cowboy Bret Hart.
That's and there's no need to explain that match because if anyone hasn't seen it, get the fuck off this and go watch it. We'll let you leave early. It's like being in school. Number 9, Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper. Number 8, Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage. Number 7, Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage. Number 6, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25. Number 5, Chris Benoit versus Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. Number 4, Owen Hart versus Bret Hart. Number 3, Daniel Bryan versus Batista versus Randy Orton. You're going to be surprised by number 2. Edge versus Mick Foley.
Oh, wow. It didn't make my list.
Great match. Love it. It's made your list. You had it in there. It was there. Love that match. It was a great match. But my worst WrestleMania, let me know if you're ready. I know it's there. I haven't heard you say it. I'm positive I heard you say it. Maybe I'm just hallucinating. That's fine.
Oh, yeah, I did. It was number 31. So, yeah.
So, worst WrestleMania for me, you might be surprised with this. 27.
Oh, yeah. 27 is really bad.
Horrible. Absolutely fucking. And I got really drunk that night watching that. I sound like an alcoholic, but I don't drink anymore. But I got super drunk that night.
That's a good shout. I just feel it's almost cheating when you name a Mania that starts with a 2 or a 3.
Yeah, because but that was so bad.
It was really bad. I get that, but it's a different type of bad now than it was then because then there was still like you still watched.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Did you watch last year's Mania?
Nope. You know why? Because we're going to talk about the worst match in WrestleMania history for me. Is why I stopped watching WWE altogether. Just one match made me stop watching the company.
Wow.
You know what it is?
It's somebody who's not stupid.
Sandman Braun Strowman cage match. That made me listen. Man, I've watched WWE through all the stuff, through all the garbage. That one match made me stop watching that company. That was the worst match in WrestleMania history. I'm not stupid. I don't care. This isn't a PST commercial. Like we were giving me fucking advice. It was garbage. It was horrible. My number one WrestleMania match of all time is, guess, Andrew.
Is it Taker Bundy from 11?
No. Same as yours. Bret Hart versus Steve Austin. Because, yeah, I don't insult him in their what they like. You can like what you want. But that's a fucking amazing match, man. Like, did that make my number one for best of all time? I think it might have.
Yeah, I think it did. In my opinion, it's the best match in the history of the company. There's people that will have other matches, and that's fine. But as far as Mania is concerned,
it's easily the best match in Mania history.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is very believable. Like, Taker Michaels is good, but you can see the cameraman getting ready to spot it. They're getting ready to spot the cameraman. They're getting ready for this. They're getting ready for that.
They didn't have the chaotic feel that Brett and Austin did when they were in the crowd and stuff.
Because they fucking don't like each other. So it's like we're fighting, and that's what we're going to do. And it's a great match. Austin does an amazing, play job. But he does an amazing job hiding it. Like, man, give that man credit for hiding it well. Like, it was phenomenal. Just an absolutely fantastic match. All right, let's hop back into the awards as we're floating all over. We're over an hour here. Next award is going to be Tag Team of the Year. Is it my go or your go? I think it's, I don't know. We'll say it's your.
Mine.
Okay. I'm going to say the Dudleys. I'm bringing it up.
It is America's Most Wanted.
Okay.
They win it with 32% of the vote. First runner-up is La Resistance. Second runner-up is the Dudley Boys. Third runner-up is Charlie Haas and Rico. Honorable mentions totaling 11% of the vote include Colt Cabana and CM Punk, Christopher Daniels and Elix Skipper, Ric Flair and Batista, BG James and Conan, Billy Kidman and Paul London, and Rhino and Tajiri.
Okay. I'm going to pick my Tag Team of the Year.
I'm going to say it's also America's Most Wanted.
It is not. It is Kenta and someone's name I'm not going to try to pronounce.
I was thinking it was Marufuji. It was Naomichi, Marufuji, and Kenta. And I was thinking them, but man, that's the worst. This is the worst luck.
So we have them at 1. Chris Harris and James Storm at 2. Ricky Reyes and Rocky Romero at 3. Ultimo Guerrero and Ray Bucanero at 4. Christopher Daniels and Elix Skipper at 5. Matsuhiro Misawa and Ogawa at 6. CM Punk and Colt Cabana, they're not buddies anymore. I don't know Colt Cabana, by the way. Sorry, Punk. Don't come mad at me. Robin and Rey Mysterio. Mark and Jay Briscoe at 9. Yeah. Give a shout out to Jay Briscoe. So I don't know because I can't pick because I've never seen either. I didn't watch Noah then. I didn't watch TNA then, so I can't pick.
You never saw the cage
I
walk?
might have,
the cage walk match where
I might have.
Skipper walks the cage. You'd remember that. It's the craziest spot to this day I've ever seen in professional wrestling.
But anyway, I can't go with either. I'll go with Kenta and his partner because I like Japanese wrestling, so we'll just pick them.
I'm going to go PWI with America's Most Wanted.
I need to bring up our format again real quick here. No one's watching anyway. We're safe. We could do whatever the fuck we want right now. It's not going to matter. Let's just see what our next award is for you. The next award for you, well, not technically I'm first, is going to be Comeback Wrestler of the Year. For me, it is worst pay-per-view that year.
Okay.
So you go ahead and take a guess. There's a lot of them, so just pick one on the top of your head.
Was it Great American Bash?
You are the winner of The Price is Right. It is Great American Bash 2004. It's voted the worst pay-per-view by the best people in the world, the Wrestling Observer voters. Number 2 is Taboo Tuesday. Number 3 is Judgment Day. Number 4, New Japan Tokyo Dome, May 3rd. Number 5, New Japan Sumo Hall, October 19th. Unforgiven, Hustle 2, K1, December 13th of 03, actually. No Mercy, Armageddon. I'll mention Bad Blood from Columbus, Ohio. So Comeback Wrestler of the Year. I'm going to go with Eddie for Comeback Wrestler of the Year for you.
It's actually one of the...
Give me a second here. I got to bring it full screen. I apologize.
Sure. In the time that we've been doing Newsstand versus Newsletter, there are a couple of wrestlers who are perennial winners when it comes to Comeback of the Year.
It's Sting.
It is actually
Jeff Hardy. Oh, Christopher Jericho.
No,
it's Edge. It looked like Jericho for a second.
No, it's Edge. Edge wins Comeback of the Year with 46% of the vote.
Fuck, that 40% of people who are fucking idiots.
A lot of edge heads out there, folks.
Yeah.
And second runner-up is Jeff Hardy with 27%.
He's always making a list like that.
He's always coming back, man.
He'll be making a list next year after he comes back. Taking cabs everywhere, so can't drive anywhere anymore.
It's funny because they instituted this award in 1992.
Yeah.
And it felt like for a time you could trade it between Warrior and Sid because they were always leaving and then coming back.
Yep.
And then they passed the baton off to Sting, Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam, Edge. These are guys, Chris Jericho. These are guys who have pretty much won it every year if the year starts with 2. So second runner-up is William Regal with 19%. Third runner-up is Chavo Guerrero Sr. with 6%.
Oh, yeah, I remember him coming back. Yeah, I remember that.
And votes for others, honorable mentions totaling 2% of the vote include Shelton Benjamin, Jazz, Viscera, and David Young.
All right. Okay, so we're past that now. So for you, most hated wrestler. For me, it's going to be most overrated wrestler. For you, most hated, Triple H. The Game. The man that you love more than anybody in the world. Hold on a second. Let me bring you up here.
The Cerebral Assassin, the King of Kings, wins most hated wrestler of the year with 37% of the vote. First runner-up is John Bradshaw Layfield with 29%. Second runner-up is Kurt Angle with 11%. Third runner-up is Jeff Jarrett with 7%. And votes for others totaling 16% include Batista, Christian, Jonathan Coachman, Robert Conway, and Sylvain Grenier, Spike Dudley, Heidenreich, Kane, and Trish Stratus.
Who the fuck could hate Spike Dudley? How can he even be hated?
He was a heel in the cruiserweight division.
I know, but that's so silly. Okay, my most overrated wrestler is
Paul Levesque.
It is indeed Mr. Paul Levesque. The Game, Triple H, Terror Rising.
Yeah,
so
Jean-Paul Levesque.
He wins it with 1,700 votes. Number 2 is Jeff Jarrett. Number 3 is JBL. Number 4, Undertaker. 5, John Cena. 6, Randy Orton. Gene Stitsky, Mark Jindrak, Big Show, Kevin Nash. So, yeah, they both win the same award. Yeah, it's pretty fun. All right. Next award, Match of the Year. So I'll talk about mine first. I want you to guess mine, and then I'll talk about it.
Is yours the Mania 3-way?
No. Kenta Kobashi versus Yon Akiyama. For Tokyo Dome, it was, what was the date of that match? Let me go take a look real quick. July 10th. And okay, so talking about this match, when I would end up, I thought, oh my God, this is not going to age well because it's just the way they wrestle. We see it all the time now. So it's, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it started out typical Japan wrestling, slow start, headlock for about 3 or 4 minutes, that stuff. But man, it got fucking good, dude. Like when they started going, man, it was just one spot like where Akiyama hits it with like a knee off the, like just the way he hits it with the knee. And they start going crazy, man. Like Akiyama suplexes them out to the floor, gives them an exploding. Like, what's the hooks to that? Brings them back. Exploder off the top rope. What is it? I forget the other spot. Just crazy fucking shit, man. He did like a tiger suplex, like 3 of them back to back to Kabashi, just one after another, just dropping him on his head. The 1-arm tiger suplex, and it's the crowd's going fucking nuts, like they're losing their minds. This is Tokyo Dome; they're sold out. They're tearing the house down, and I mean, I'm missing a bunch of shit that I'm trying to talk about but it blew my mind. And in the finish was the burning hammer, which is fucking psychotic because break someone's neck, why don't you? I mean, we know what happens to Misawa about 5 years later. But yeah, I know Meltzer, I think, probably gave it 5 stars. I would give it, if I was to give it a star rating, I'd give it 4.5. I would take stars off because of the dangerousness of the match.
Speaking of which, have you been updating your
grapple? No, well, I can't really use it. It doesn't work all the time for me. It kind of sucks. I don't have patience for that, but I'll go back and take a look. So
just because it's useful when compiling, lists for like years and stuff.
I get it. So that was the match of the year for 2,270 votes. For fuck's sake, I can't talk. Number 2 is the triple threat match of Mania 3. Number 3 is Samoa Joe and CM Punk from Chicago Ridge. Number 4 is Kenta Kobashi, Takayama. That was from April 25th. Number 5, Randy Orton and Mick Foley. Number 6, Eddie Guerrero and Braun Lesnar. I'm not a fan of that match, man.
Really?
I don't like the fact that Goldberg interferes. I think it takes a lot away from that match. It bothers me. Samoa Joe versus CM Punk. Kazuchika Sasaki versus Takayama. Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. Triple H versus the rematch. And that match. Take a look at that match, man. I'll put the link. I'll put it in the description because it is on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And it will scare you. It says 54 minutes. Don't let that scare you because the thing is, the first 10 is like background shit. It's on 12 minutes into the match, and then the last 10 is a lot of stuff afterwards, right? But I'll tell you, man, like fuck, they tore the fucking house down, dude. Like it was good. Your match of the year, I'm gonna guess, and I'll bring you up to the full screen. I'm gonna guess Triple H and Chris Benoit from Monday Night Raw, the Iron Man match.
No, it is actually the triple threat match from Mania 20 featuring Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit. They win it with 48% of the vote. First runner-up is Chris Benoit versus Randy Orton from SummerSlam.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that match.
Me neither. Second runner-up is Randy Orton versus Cactus Jack with 11%. And third runner-up is Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle from Mania 20.
Yep.
Honorable mentions totaling 17% of the vote include the Royal Rumble match, CM Punk versus AJ Styles, Chris Jericho versus Christian from March 14, Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero, also from March 14. Oh, wait, sorry. It wasn't the Mania match that Angle and Eddie came in third for. It was their match at SummerSlam. So my mistake. Shelton Benjamin versus Triple H on March 29. Samoa Joe versus CM Punk from June 12th. Triple H versus Shawn Michaels from June 13. Edge versus Randy Orton from July 11. Austin Aries versus Bryan Danielson from August 7th. And Ric Flair versus Randy Orton from October 19th.
It's a lot of matches. I'm going to go with the Kobashi Akiyama match.
I haven't seen it, so I won't vote.
But I'll tell you this. I remember that match very well, the triple threat, because we were at my apartment, a ton of us. And, I mean, I know what Benoit does later in life, but, man, we popped like motherfuckers when he won that match. The whole place went crazy. Really pumped for it. It's just a sin that this man did what he did because fucking ruined his legacy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wouldn't have done that, I don't know where he'd be at now. I think I think he'd be in AEW, probably as a backstage guy.
Yeah. I mean, Malenko's there, Jericho's there. I mean,
Yeah.
he would have some connections.
Yeah, I can see it. I would see him probably retiring if he wouldn't have done that. I think he would have retired a few years later. I think he was getting to the point that
I don't know, man. That guy would have probably went right up until like he went to Japan, like did the Andre route.
yeah.
Everybody else sees that this guy shouldn't be in the ring. He's like his brain's mush, but
Yeah.
somebody will give him a paycheck. I mean, wrestling promoters.
Yeah. Dynamite's for example, Mr. New Pro. But they shouldn't let him in the fucking ring, the looks of Dynamite that time, but that's why they do it. All right. So the next one is gonna be the Stanley Weston Award for you and best gimmick for me. So Stanley Weston Award, I don't fucking know. It's so random with that. Who died in 04?
A lot of guys.
I don't know. Let's go with Billy Graham. He's still alive. He'll never die. Let's just say Billy Graham. I'll put you full screen here. Hold on.
Good guess, and certainly a guy that he's a huge fan of. It is Pat Patterson.
Yeah,
he wins the Stanley Weston Award.
Yeah, that's just random. That's just completely random. All right. Best gimmick for me. That's my pick on this. Is my one here.
Best gimmick. Is it Cena?
It is not. It is John Bradshaw. And I don't mind that. And I think he should have got most improved because he went from being a tag guy to being a main event guy quickly, and it worked, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, he gets that 142 votes. Number 2 is Carlito. 3 is Eugene. 4 is John Cena. 5 is CM Punk Straight Edge. 6 is M&M. 7, Trish Stratus as a heel. 8, your favorite group of all time, Evolution.
Yeah.
And last, main votes, main awards is Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah.
It's time for you to guess mine, Andrew.
Is it the Canadian Crippler?
It is not. It is Kenta Kobashi. Yeah. And I'll tell you, man, watching that fucking match, that gave him the award right there. So Kenta Kobashi wins it with 3,209 votes. Chris Benoit is behind it with 2,045 votes. Samoa Joe, Eddie Guerrero, Kazuki Sasaki, Triple H, Masahiro Misawa. Chuck Liddell's not a fucking wrestler. I don't know why he's in this list. And Shawn Michaels, honorable mentions, Kawada. So, and for you, I'm going to guess Benoit for you.
Yep.
Chris
Benoit.
That's a bit of a... this is an interesting one.
Yeah, he wins it with 72% of the vote. That's a huge, massive win.
They didn't have Doc Brown's time machine, so they didn't know what the fuck he was going to do in 5 years.
3 years.
Doesn't know 9.
No, he doesn't know 7.
Oh, my bad. Why did I think 09? Go ahead.
Randy Orton is first runner-up with 9%. Second runner-up is Eddie Guerrero, also with 9%. Third runner-up is AJ Styles with 6%. And honorable mentions totaling 4% include Triple H, Jeff Jarrett, John Bradshaw Layfield, and Samoa Joe. So Benoit ran away with this.
See, we gotta take away what he did and look at 2004. Kobashi looked like he had a really good year, but I can't just go by the looks of it. I have to see it. So I gotta go with Benoit on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
I mean, I know we did, but now if he would have won in 2007, I would have a problem with it. I'd have a problem with it in 2007. Like, wait, I had a really good year. It kind of came to a halt there in June. Had an issue in June. We didn't see him after that, but before that, he was having a great year.
This was his last good year.
Yeah, because he kind of just was mid card after that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he had some good matches with Finlay and Regal, but you could tell that they are carrying him because he doesn't acknowledge that there's a crowd. And that's always been my problem with Benoit, and what keeps him from tippy top is that he wrestled like he could have been in the living room.
Well, I don't think Benoit was right in the head either. Obviously, he wasn't right in the head. Okay, so what do we have? You wanted to get your death pool set up, death list.
Death pool, but the final store. Also, were there any other Observer Awards?
There's more, but I'll do them after we do the who died.
Okay, sure. You had the Observer with 3 votes and PWI with 2 votes, and I had PWI sweeping the awards 4-0.
Oh, well, look at you, big man, going against the grain.
Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Give me a second here. Let me bring you up here. Bring it up again. Bring up the magazine. Let the kids see the magazine.
This is it. The 2004, the year in wrestling from Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Who,
So you,
for some reason, did not do an in memoriam.
to do is in memoriam. I'm gonna bring him up here. If you wanted to go take a nap, go swing out to Wendy's, get some food. I wouldn't suggest Wendy's. I go to Burger King over it probably because Max girlfriend works at Wendy's, so I don't go there. Don't go to Wendy's, everybody. I don't care where you live at. Don't go there. My ex-girlfriend works with one here. So here comes Andrew with his in memoriam. So Andrew, take it away.
I find it funny that PWI did not do an in memoriam in.
They probably didn't have
2004.
enough pages. For fuck's
Well,
sake.
that's the thing. Like, I'm looking at the deaths, Scott, and I've certainly, absolutely, have read longer in memoriams than here. Here are some notable names who we lost in 2004. It starts with the Big Boss Man.
Mhm.
Then we have Bill Parks, Billy Redwood, Chuck Moyner, Crusher Verdue, Dave Levin, Dave Morgan, Dr. Wagner, Enrique Llanes, Fabuloso Blondie, Great Kutsawada, Hard-Boiled Haggerty, Irma Acevedo, former WWF President Jack Tunney, current Hall of Fame inductee James Dudley, Jim Barnett, Mariana, Pat Roach, Pepper Gomez. This one's an interesting one. Ray Charles, I guess because he did America the Beautiful at Mania 2.
Yeah, that's a little odd, but I guess
It's a stretch. Hercules Hernandez, Reggie White, Rock Stevens, Sambo Asako, Sandor Kovacs, and
what?
finally,
Sandor Kovacs? Was he a pitcher?
no, you're thinking of Sandy Koufax.
Okay, all right, keep going.
And then Steven DeLeon.
That's actually not that many people.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's been in memoriams that are much longer than this.
Oh, 2003, they're dropping every other day.
Yeah.
Like,
Or even like 2015, 2014, there was a long list.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go into the secondary awards for the Observer. We'll let Andrew guess. Most outstanding wrestler,
Is it Kenta Kobashi?
Chris Benoit. Biggest box office draw,
Is it Chuck Liddell?
Kenta Kobashi. What's funny with that? Benoit doesn't even make that list. He doesn't even make an honorable mention on that list.
No, it is not a draw.
Best on interviews.
I'm surprised it's not Benoit.
Yeah.
04. Was it Heyman?
Mick Foley. And also Benoit doesn't make that list. Most charismatic.
Is it Cena?
Eddie Guerrero. Cena's second. Benoit doesn't make that list either. Best technical wrestler.
Chris Benoit?
Yeah. The Bruiser Brody Memorial Awards.
Is this also Benoit?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, surprising. Yeah. Best flying wrestler.
Is it Mystico?
Ron Mysterio.
Mm.
Most underrated, I already did that one. Promotion of the year.
Is it the World Wrestling Federation?
It's Noah. They love Noah this year. That's the big one for them this year. Yeah, yeah. Ring of Honor's second, Pride's third, which is a wrestling company. WWE's fourth, and the UFC is fifth. Best weekly television show.
Is it Raw?
It actually is Raw, and it goes 2024 votes for Raw, 2013 votes for Pro Wrestling Noah. And you know Meltzer was running around trying to find gravestones of people that votes to that one. Fucking guy. Shoot fight of the year, who cares about that? Shoot match of the year, nobody cares about that. Sorry,
these are awards for the Wrestling Observer newsletter. You have to you can't just.
Okay, all right. Well, who's the shoot fight of the year?
Is it Chuck Liddell?
Wanderlei Silva.
Mm.
And what is the shoot match of the year?
Is it Stephen Bonner against Forrest Griffin?
That was the next year. Quentin Jackson versus Wanderlei Silva. Best non-wrestling performer, which I was looking for this earlier. I couldn't find it. This is going to be my thing. Best non-wrestler.
Paul Heyman.
Yep. Best television announcer.
Jim Ross.
Mike Tenay. Worst television announcer.
Jonathan Coachman.
Todd Grissom. Coach was a close second. Best wrestling show.
Noah Voyage.
Noah Tokyo Dome, yeah. WrestleMania 20 is third. Second, Backlash is third. Best wrestling maneuver.
Burning Hammer.
Petey Williams, Canadian Destroyer.
Oh, right, yeah.
Worst television show.
Is it Heat?
SmackDown. Oh. Heat second. No Japan Wrestlers third. AAA's four. WWE Experience is fifth. Worst match of the year. You won't guess it. If you guessed, it'd be a fucking miracle.
Is it Kane and Hardy?
Steve Richards and Tyson Tomko. Oh. Worst feud.
Kane and Hardy?
With Lita. Yeah, Kane, Lita, and Hardy. Yeah. Best booker.
Is it Dana White?
Gabe Swasky, the guy from ROH. Promoter of the year.
Whoever runs Noah, I guess.
I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, it's not Maso's another guy. Worst gimmick.
Is it Rico?
Gene Snitsky. And that, your friends, is the Wrestling Observer Awards from 2004. And that, your friends, is better than WrestleMania. You know, you turned WrestleMania off. You told all your friends, Newsstand versus Newsletter's out in full force. Andrews has something to say. What's that?
Well, I wanted to go over the ratings and see how many active wrestlers
we'll jump into it. Go ahead.
We have. So, in the year of our Lord, 2023, the following wrestlers are still active. Some with an asterisk. Some are on the injured reserve list, but you feel like they could appear any week. Like make their grand return. Case in point, Randy Orton, Jeff Jarrett. Booker T was in this last Royal Rumble.
Yeah, but he's a surprise guy. I wouldn't count that. That doesn't count as active.
Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah.
Edge. Chris Jericho. Christian. Rhino. Maybe the Big Show.
Not really. He hasn't wrestled in a while.
He keeps like making challenges on Twitter like he's gonna have a match. So I don't know.
Yeah, he's not going to. I seen that last match he had. It was fucking dog shit. That guy's not having another match again.
Johnny Nitro, also known as John Morrison. Yeah. Chris Masters, still wrestling. And Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
CM Punk with a big asterisk. Maybe he'll come back.
Yeah, I hope not.
Austin Aries, same situation. Homicide. Bryan Danielson. Jay Lethal. Alex Shelley. AJ Styles. Chris Sabin. Frankie Kazarian. And then we head off to Japan, and Hiroshi Tenzan still makes the occasional match. Jun Akiyama still wrestling. And in Mexico, we've got a few. We've got El Hijo del Santo, L.A. Park. I should have just said a couple. And I'm not going to go over the small indies in small print, because I'm sure there's a few, but who knows? Who knows if CJ Otto's still competing? CJ Otis.
All right. So everyone, I know you enjoyed watching our show. I would say go back and rewatch last night's show, the Great Abyss to Zinc show that we did. There was a minor hiccup in that show. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a little bit of a minor hiccup that we find out late in the show. But don't worry about that Wrestlemania garbage. It's all the same thing. It's a concert with some wrestling in it. You listen to us. We're the shit. So kids, remember.
You know what we should do, Scott?
What's that?
Top 100 musical performances at WrestleManias.
No, we shouldn't. All right, so that's where we're going to end it. We thank you all for watching Newsstand versus Newsletter. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, get ready for our big contest. Until next time, we'll see you again on another episode of Newsstand versus Newsletter.
Beautiful plaque. Okay, the first one is Billy Jack. Billy Jack was voted by all you fans all over the world as the most improved wrestler of the year, and I'd like to give him the plaque right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the man who received over 12,000 votes. 12,000 votes as the most popular wrestler of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the plaque, and now here's the man who won it by your choice, the former World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion.